Hey guys, thanks for checking out Dinsmore Outdoors. My name's Joe. Here lately I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube of a channel called The Nature of Fishing. And he's really, kind of inspired me to shoot this video that you're about to see. He has a lot of in-depth videos on bass behavior, how different things affect bass, and even does it kind of in a retro way with the old school rod and reels and an old school fishing float tube. So that's pretty cool. Check him out. I'll leave a link down in the description below if you're interested. He has a way more in-depth video, documentary type style on bass spawning. So definitely worth checking out. That's what kind of inspired me to do this, like I said before. But we had a really good spawn in the pond. This is the second year they've spawned since I stocked them. So even last year's hatch got in on this one. And I bought a GoPro Session. And I decided to put it underneath the water and on a couple of different beds to see how the different bass react and how they chase away predators and the actual spawning event. And also, yes, there is going to be some attacking lures underwater, so you'll be able to check that out too and see how they react to that. And I'll be narrating this whole thing so you get to hear my lovely voice during the whole time. If you don't like it, you can click the mute button. I know I would. But without further ado, here's the video. Hope you guys like it. Check it out. Alright, here we go. So every bass that came by the camera just had to check it out. Bass are very curious creatures. Anything that enters their world, they just have to find out, is it food, is it a threat, or is it foe or friend? And if you watch the camera, you will actually see a lot of bass going by. This is the beginning of the spawn. Bass are going around the pond and they're trying to claim spawning sites. And they're just going around and around looking. And our bass has claimed a spawning site. He hasn't spawned yet, but he's at a spawning site and running other bass off and claiming his territory. And what was crazy to me is you can hear my footsteps right now. Just my footsteps are walking on the ground, and you can see the bass leaving, knowing that something's coming that way. I never thought you could actually hear footsteps underwater like that. So after a quick check of the camera, the male bass has returned back to a spawning site. You can see it between the two bushes and right there on the rocks. And he's coming in to take a look. It's not a threat, so he's going back. And actually, he's running off another bass. If you listen close, you can hear his mouth open and close, kind of like a warning bite. You can see it here. I thought that was pretty cool when I first noticed that. Now, like what I was saying before, he hasn't spawned, he hasn't found a female yet. He's just establishing his territory and preparing the bed. He has chosen these rocks I've put out in this little small flat in the corner of the pond. That seems to be the spot he likes, and of course the sooner you start spawning, the sooner and the best spots you get. Okay, here we have a spawning pair, male and a female. They've selected a bed site. The male bass has made the bed next to this small cypress tree in really shallow water, probably only about a foot of water. And instead of using rocks, he decided to make a bed in aquatic vegetation at the base of the cypress tree. Which bass also like to have an object to relate to when they make their beds. They like to have something to back up to. That way they're not having to protect the bed at 360 degrees. Now, the way you can tell these apart is the male is going to be the paler looking bass with a bigger face and a bigger mouth, and his stomach is sunken in from all the energy that is used to prepare the bed. Now, the female just swam by. As you can see, she has a smaller mouth, a smaller head, and she's a real bright, pretty gold color and really lit up. Now, the male bass is the one that actually makes the initial spawning site, but as you just seen, the female will also maintain the bed when she's there spawning and laying her eggs. That's why when you catch bass during the spawn, both male and female, they will have red marks on their fins from them rubbing against the bottom and maintaining and fanning their beds. Now what you're seeing here is he's rubbing underneath her belly around her anal fin to get her to stimulate her to release her eggs. And he'll keep doing that. He'll keep nudging her and rubbing into her and like rubbing her in her belly. And she doesn't lay all of her eggs at one time. She just lays a little bit at a time. And you can tell when she's laying them because she'll turn it over on her side like that and she'll start to quiver, trying to push and release the eggs out, and you'll see a few drop at a time. Even while in the process of spawning, if the male bass sees a threat to the nest, he will still run it off. As you saw just right there, the male and the female are both running off small bluegill that are hanging around the area, waiting to consume all the eggs there in the nest. That's why it's vital when you see a male and a female spawning to just leave them alone, let them kind of do their thing, and then later you can come back after everything's finished. The male bass will continue to stimulate the female until she has released all of her eggs. Only at that point will he come over and fertilize all the eggs at one time. He doesn't do it a little bit at a time like the female. He waits till the very end when it's all done. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see all the fingerling bluegill that are just standing by waiting for the bass to leave so they can rush in and consume all the eggs that they've just laid. This process can take anywhere from a few minutes to hours at a time, depending on the size of the bass and the location, if they have to keep stopping because of predators or traffic or anything like that. So it's actually quite a sight if you get to come up on it and witness it. Spawning usually takes place late in the afternoon, and water temperatures ranging anywhere from 65 to 70 degrees. This particular day, the water temperature was 68 degrees, and it was late in the month of March here in North Florida. This was not the only bed that was going on at the time. There were several bass on the same day doing the same process. After the eggs are laid and fertilized, after about a day or so, the male bass will run off the female and he will be sole guardian of the eggs. As you can see here, they're like a yellow color and they're real sticky and adhere to anything. It usually takes anywhere from 4 to 6 days for largemouth bass eggs to hatch, depending on the water temperature. The hotter the water, the faster they hatch. Here we see the first male bass that we saw in the beginning of the video guarding his spawning site. He has already spawned and now he's tending to the eggs. You can tell that he has eggs now because he's not leaving the spawning site like he did before. He's locked to the bed, and he has constant flow of water flowing over the eggs using his caudal fin and his pectoral fins to fan the bed to make sure the eggs are getting plenty of fresh water and oxygen flow. And at the same time, he still has to be on guard duty. That's why so many male bass are so stressed out after the spawn, between preparing the bed, spawning with a female, maintaining the eggs, protecting against predators, and guarding the fry after the eggs hatch. Now we've come to the part that most of you have been waiting for: bass interaction with lures. I know braid was not the best choice to use, but it's what I had at the time. As you can see, I dropped the worm in. The bass has paying attention to it and also paying attention to me at the same time. You can see the bass look down at the worm and also look up at me at the same time. He doesn't know which is a bigger threat. Now, I'm not really working the bait very aggressively, and the bass is also not attacking it very aggressively. He more so is just trying to coax the worm out of his bed. He just wants it to leave by harassing it. He's not really making a killing attack. Now, what I've noticed with bass, not just bass in my pond, but all bass I've fished for are on bedding sites, the more snappy and quick you work the lure, the more likely it will trigger them to strike in an aggressive manner, as you're about to see when I throw the worm out here and work it back even faster. Well guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's any other underwater filming videos that you would like to see out here in the pond, please let me know. Leave it down in the comments below and I'll try my best to make that happen for you. Like right now, it's end of May, so right now the bluegills are spawning, if you'd like to see that, or if you'd just like to see bass hanging out on cover, or lures, how the different lures work underwater. Just let me know down in the comments below and I'll see if I can try to make that happen, especially now while the water's warm, because I'm not getting in there in the wintertime. I can tell you that right now, being from Florida. But guys, if you're new to the Dinsmore Outdoors, click that subscribe button. It means a lot to us. We'd love to have you as a subscriber. And click that bell so you get notified when we do put up a new video. And leave that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video and you got some good quality entertainment out of it, because it helps me out. And if not, hey, it doesn't hurt anything. Just smash that thumbs up button. As always, like we say here on Dinsmore Outdoors, we do more than Dinsmore. Y'all take care. Dinsmore Outdoors is proudly sponsored by Bruiser Baits, fish the best. Vexen Rods, strike first with Vexen. And Real Gear, make fishing your style.